Our guest this week is a farmer and so proud of it, a social entrepreneur, and a change maker. He owns Santander Sweets and Pastries, and he works for ESSC, or Environmental Science for Social Change. He is currently in Zurich, Switzerland, and is thriving. His name is Arnel Santander. Before we proceed to the main interview, I would like to remind our viewers to hit on the subscribe button as well as the bell button so you will get notification every time a video is released. This is Janet Jordy at Global Inspiration, where you need to be seen, need to be heard, and be an inspiration to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome to the show, Arnel Santander. Welcome to the show, Arnel.
Hello, Janet, and to all people who are watching now. Thank you for the invitation. The first video that I saw was your interview with Miss Bruce. And I saw also your interview with Mabel Acosta Rubilio. And I said, wow, two Davaoenos are doing great in the foreign land. This kind of stories must be heard, needs to be seen, as you said, and it's indeed inspiring.
So you are a farmer and proud of it, and you're helping other farmers. Share a story about your growth, about your being a kid and being a son of a farmer in the Philippines.
I come from a farmer family by generation, from both of my parents. My grandfather used to live in the coastal side, and my mother born and grew up literally in the middle of the forest in the indigenous community in Davao del Norte. In my childhood times, I grew up playing soil, catching fish in the river, climbing fruit trees, and watching the skies as it forms in different shapes. You know how a child uses his imaginations. But we know the reality of the farmers in the Philippines. It's hard, both economic and social life. When I was around 10 or 15 years old, I said to myself, I don't want to be a farmer. It's a hard life. However, when I work with farmers in different regions in the Philippines, I listened to them and I saw the dignity of these people. There's no doctors, teachers, lawyers, or president in the country if there is no produce from the farmers. Food from the land and people who cares in sustaining food production. The UNFAO reported that most of the food in the market are coming from small farmers. And it's true. Here in Switzerland, we buy food from the small farmers. They are organic and more healthy for our body, and the process of growing them are healthy to the planet. The work of farmers is to nurture good life, and they understand better the natural science of ecosystem. And that's the integrity of being a farmer.
Thank you very much, Arnel. That is a good story about being a farmer. So where are you right now and why are you there?
I'm now here in Zurich, Switzerland. It happens that my partner in life lives here. I came here just last February, and soon I have to go back to the Philippines again to process my papers for staying here for good. And I think I'm in the important stage of my life, settling down, starting my own family in the foreign land, and later this year become a parent for our first child. I'm in the new beginning, I feel, seeing a new struggle in finding my own way and space here, but also looking forward for a new opportunity for growth. Like any other Filipino who decided to try their chance abroad. In the Philippines, I'm working with Institute of Environmental Science for Social Change, a Jesuit and a research and training institute for forest and water resource management, particularly a program for indigenous people in the province of Bukidnon.
You finished college and a master's degree being a government and a university scholar in the Philippines. Tell us more about your education journey and the challenges, especially when you were the president of the Supreme Student Council.
Having an education was a fulfilled promise to myself since I was a childhood. I know, I knew it in the beginning that the only way to escape from extreme poverty is education. Every time I completed a school year, I felt it's another step forward closer to my dreams. I remember when I was around 10 to 12 years old, you and Tim and some friends of yours visited your farm in the village where I live. You always asked me to climb the coconut for the fresh buko juice. And when I look at you and company from a distance, I admire you,
Oh, thank you.
educated and enjoying a happy life. You are my direct image of successful person at the time because I can see it. I can feel it. And I know it's possible that it's going to happen also for me. I finished Bachelor of Science in Community Development from the University of Southeastern Philippines. I started as a government scholar because at the time, I was a Sangguniang Kabataan official in our barangay. I took this kind of profession because it's closer to my nature, and that is to help other people, to help my community. And in the process, it helps me also to understand the situation of my family. My college life, for me, a defining point where I want to go. It was good, but also a tough reality from beginning to the very end of my 4 years in the university. Tuition was not a problem because the government paid for it, but the problem was how to sustain the other daily costs. There was a time that I was not allowed to take the exam because I have no 250 pesos just to pay the module. Every school project, true friendship will be tested. You will know who will offer help. In college, I always wearing complete school uniform because no one will know that I keep repeating the same polo shirts and pants. After 2 years, my term in Sangguniang Kabataan official, the scholarship also was finished. No? I was third year in the university at the time, taking major subjects, beginning to learn specific discipline in development work. My father said, we can afford the tuition, but the rest of the family have nothing to eat. I don't understand at that time. I feel I'm close 2 years more than I can be a big help for the family. So no choice. I give way. Out of disappointment of the situation, I work as a sales representative in the marketing company. The problem was I only earn on the basis of how many hot dogs I sold during the day. I'm not I'm not earning, but I stayed because I don't want to go home. I feel I am defeated at the time, helpless or maybe feeling hopeless at the time. One morning, I know it was the last day of the enrollment. After this day, I said to myself, after this day, my last chance is over. On my way to work, my fellow sales representative told me, your father is inside. He is talking to our boss. And I was clueless what's happening. Then my father came out from the office. He said, Arnel, let's go home. I sold the Carabao. It was 17 years ago, but I could still remember the feeling at that time, both sad and happy. Because happy because I felt God is not leaving me at that time. And sad because for a farmer, giving up the Carabao, it is a desperate decision. I continue my studies, of course, and major subjects in community development course were not that difficult because the different development theory somehow I knew it. because I experienced this development, development theorist. I am active both in government and non-government organizations. I got a chance to travel in different parts of the Philippines for seminars, trainings, and I learned a lot from the experience. In my 2 years in the university, I ran for student council president due to the two main reasons. First, I want to speak up for the no tuition fee increase and quality education. I fight for the students' rights. We lobby policy and participate in the institutional planning of the university. Second, I need it because once you are a student council president in the university, you are also automatic a university scholar. So I served for 1 year. Then I graduated. I started to work with non-government organizations. Then I was inspired to develop my professions. I enrolled in a private school, a master's program, Master in Participatory Development with um, Davao Medical School Foundation. And at that time, I was working and I'm earning, so I paid my tuition.
Thank you very much for sharing your story, Arnel. It touched my heart because you are giving the sad part as well as the happy part. You consider to be a social entrepreneur. Tell us more about that.
I started the Santander Sweets and Pastries in 2018. What I realized at the time is I want to start something that is mine, that I can claim as my space for growth, where I can dedicate my creativity and passion, my space that I can share for others to grow as well. I have no background in business. I enrolled in the Open University program of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, a short-term course about social entrepreneurship. Through the program, the exchange of personal experiences, case studies of different social entrepreneurship endeavors across the globe for me are very interesting, particularly on how it touches the lives of ordinary people, how it transforms lives of the many, and how the approach speaks about sustainability for food, for the life of the people, and for the global environment. In 2019, I was one of the selected 25 micro entrepreneurs in Davao City. So I joined this mentoring program. We call this Kapatid Mentor Me program, or KMMA, a nationwide project of Department of Trade and Industry and Go Negosyo, headed by Joey Concepcion. He is the presidential advisor for entrepreneurship. So for me, social entrepreneurship is when you start to think what is best for the others, when you consider people's lives, cultural values, and environmental sustainability. The natural resources in the world today are in different pressures because of this consumerism mentality. Example, land and water are controlled and commercialized in different forms, and we are exceeding some limits of the planetary boundaries, and that is alarming. We need to act together on how we live sustainably. We cannot keep this kanya-kanya mentality going, like what is happening now in different parts of the world.
So I appreciate you sharing about social entrepreneurship because as laymen and a lot of laymen, when they hear the word entrepreneur, they're thinking of profits. But being a social entrepreneur, you're thinking of social change. And that is good. You also consider yourself to be a change maker with your involvement with the Oxfam or the Oxfam International Youth Partnership. Tell us more about this.
OIYP, or Oxfam International Youth Partnership, is a network of young people across the globe who wants to contribute change in the status quo of the situation. Most of my batchmate came from different parts of Asia, Africa, in Latin America, Australia, Pacific regions, and some from Europe and America. We were 300 young people at the time, and we met in Delhi, India, for different exchange activities. In my own ways, yes, I made a mark for change. The hard life that I experienced before, uh, at this time, there is a greater chance that my children will no longer suffer the same hardship that I experience or my parents have experienced. I may become from poor family, but in my generation, I am now somehow making a little change. Through education that I earned, the extreme poverty as I experience, maybe now I can set this aside as part of my history. And this where change come in.
Okay, thank you very much, Arnel. You've been featured in Sunstar, and I think the title of the newspaper article was The Rise of Social Entrepreneur. Could you tell us more about this?
While we were in this food exhibition that was also organized by Department of Trade and Industries and other micro and small entrepreneurs in Davao City. It was part of the, I think, celebrations in Davao City like Kadayawan Festival. No? So we sell products. But in my case, I do two things. I sell our products and I sell our stories. It is important to tell story to people. All food on your table or stored in your fridge has place of origin, and there are caring people behind every food we eat. The flour we use for bread, there are farmers who planted the wheat. For every milk we use for the ice cream, there are people taking care of the cows in the dairy farm. For every fruits we add, there are families who planted the fruits. We have to be careful about this pressure brought by global economy. We need a system that is inclusive and not this extractive economy. Many of the corn farmers in the Philippines became dependent to financiers and chemicals as an input. They lost control of the seeds and prices of their own produce. And it's a sad reality. Many of us like instant fried chicken, fast food. If we're not conscious of what we consume, we're creating irreversible damage to our dear planet.
So, Arnel, you've been to Vietnam because of your work. Can you share more details on this?
Thank you. It was a bit quiet a long time ago. It was a workshop organized by United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization or UNFAO. It was about strengthening forest communications in Asia Pacific regions. I presented a report, our experience with Pulangiyon. They're the no, they're a cultural community in Bukidnon. It's our experience in nurturing youth in Mindanao to be grounded on their culture while finding equity and meaning in engaging with global culture. Nowadays, it is important to share their stories, no? The stories of the indigenous people, for they are the real guardian of the land and the water. The life of indigenous people, farmers, and young generations in the cultural community are not clearly understood in many of the populations, particularly in the city. I am saying this because my mother is also coming from a Mandaya tribe. When I worked with the indigenous community, I heard a lot of their stories. And because of that, I understand better my roots and myself. And this is the important part of us to realize the value of cultural identity, the sense of belonging. We, I cannot simply rejoice my life here in Switzerland without acknowledging where I came from, who I am.
Yeah, your story inspires a lot of people because you're so humble and you're not only acknowledging of who you are today, but also where you came from. My next question is, who inspires you? Who motivates you and make you who you are today?
Since in my childhood time, I met different kinds of people. And I always remember all the faces of these people. who helped me in different times. And one of this is your mother, Auntie Nini, no? Your family. Every time I witness the strength of my mother after a whole day work, no? Maybe from a neighbor or from the farm, and when I was young, it fuels my courage to find a way how can I express my love to my mother. Every time I see my father working hard just to earn little cash to support our education, it ignites my determination to finish my studies. So it's clear that it's my parents. They are not the superstars in our barangay. They are not. I don't know. They're not. They don't have university degree, but I admire their effort to raise a family. And when my siblings are happy in their choices in life, I feel proud for them also. No? And one time there's a story. One time I was in India. I was with a few delegates in a leadership program. There was a girl around 9 or 12 years old who approached us in a public street. Because we were in this walking in the public street. So she's selling bangles and some stuff. She talked to us nicely and in good English. And we have no interest to buy, unfortunately, of her what she was selling because we went there, this place for a particular purpose. But one of our fellow delegates, handed a coin to this girl. Then the girl, she looks at, straight to our eyes and said, "Sorry, I am not a beggar." We were speechless at the time. We have to remember, by giving chances to others to grow and to experience a good life is also a form of action how we can contribute for the next generation. Many children around us today who are in desperate to get the chance for educations, good health, or good food. Many of the youth in this generation might miss a lot of opportunity to develop their best potential because of this global crisis. But I'm sure to those who are watching in this video, just share your kindness, especially to those who are in need.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arnel. I know Arnel because his parents and my parents are neighbors when it comes to the land that they are toiling. So his mother was our kasambahay or housemate for a year. So this is just saying with the viewers and sharing with you that how I know Arnel. So Global Inspiration approached his family to do pouches. But you get the abaca from the farmers of the Bukidnon tribes and two sisters involved in sewing the pouches. Please share with us how close is your family because I could sense the closeness. You talk to Girly, you talk to Kuya Arnel, you know all this. So can you share how close is your family?
Yes, we're close, and sometimes we are also not close. But we try to work on that, no? So when you ask to make this pouch, I said yes. I did it for two reasons. One, I knew I know where the materials came from, and I know who does the waving. I met them, and it's interesting to know how they earn the skills from their grandparents. No? The hinabol, or it's a Pulangion term, no? Hinabol or abaca cloth, are handmade, and what I know how much time it takes to make a meter of this cloth. No? When I bought the materials from different nanays or weavers, I never asked them to give me a lower price per meter because I know it's for food for the family. I've been there. Second, because of the pandemic situation, home-based livelihood last year, no? They pop up everywhere. And and my sister said, because she lost her job, she cannot find a work, and it's difficult, no, to walk around. It's dangerous. There's a lot of fear. So, okay, then maybe a home-based livelihood is good, no, for us. So my sister said she wants a sewing machine. So despite that the sewing machine supplier was located in one of the highest village at the time in Davao City, I was adamant to buy the unit in that instant and bring it home no matter how it takes. Because I can see, no, that my sister, she can feel that there is an opportunity for her, and this is maybe a second chance for her, no. When the chances of others is slim, we need to take action. We need to pay attention, no? Not a dole out response, but to create opportunity that is enhancing their capacity to contribute for the good of others. I am thankful to those creative women who does the waving, my sisters for sharing their creative minds, for the designs and the concepts and the communication with you. Is this good? Is this better or what? No, and we're also thankful to Shirley Glimada, no? A mother and who is a dressmaker who helped us for the completing of the orders. And yeah, what I feel about this is, no, women, no, even they're at home, they can be productive. They can do something, no, because we have this mentality that when you are at home, women are at home, they are just doing this domestic work and just that, no. But if you give them a chance, you give them a means, then they can be, no, they can be creative as they can, and they are helpful in the economy as well.
Correct, correct. And I agree with what you share about the closeness of your family and spreading your arms, helping the people and those stayed at home mothers. So I have a fun question for you, Arnel. Can you share with us any fun, anything fun that very few people know or surprise people to know? Share that with us.
I don't know if this is something funny for them, but yeah. um, I have done many failures. I have made many wrong decisions, and I accepted that, no, with all my humbleness. And um, and for me, because in every failure, it is a chance for growth, a chance for improvement. And also, failure sometimes it makes you cry, it makes you laugh also. And then, no, as like for the Filipino, we have a tendency to say that, that's fine, that's okay, okay ra. And then yeah, it's somehow a chance to know your limitations. And it is important to acknowledge these failures, no? Because it brings you a clearer sense of self-awareness and a chance for, no, reflection coming from within. And that is, um, I think this young generation needs to acknowledge, no? Because nowadays the young people are more into, no, sophisticated things. They want to accomplish things. They want to be in this level in that instant. No, we cannot. There is no instant, or what's this, faster way to success. No, there's a lot of ups and downs.
Okay. So, Arnel, you are so busy. You are all over the world. You've been to Vietnam, you've been to India, you've been to Zurich now, you're in Zurich now. So, I am curious, what do you do for hobby or to make yourself a break? Do you do karaoke? Do you dance? Do you garden? Share that with us.
What are my hobbies? Yeah, there are many people here in Zurich ask me, you play computer games, you play soccer, you play golf, you play. So for me, okay, I think I don't have experience in this kinds of sports. But yeah, my hobby, well, wherever I am, of course, wherever I am, I like to do something with soil, seeds, or plants, or with nature in general. No? Even last month, the temperature in Zurich was too cold for the plants. I still try to grow some of the seeds in a pot. No, though my fiance said it's not the right season for planting, but I just want to try it. No, and yeah, I like also poetry, writing poems because it describes the particular thought, particular feelings or situation, and it preserves memories. There was one time that I wrote, no, one of my piece was included in the local newspaper, and that piece was also included in a book publication that was published by Davao Writers Guild. So I was one of my piece there was with the other piece, like they're already Palangka awardee, they're graduate from UP and they study literature, and one of my piece was there. And yeah, that was one of the the
Yeah.
happiest
Yeah.
uh, experience that I have when it comes to hobbying. And here in Zurich, of course, I like jogging or like walking along the river or visiting museums, no, for to know the historical places.
And that's good to know what are your hobbies. So, Arnel, tell us more about the meeting with the Vatican office a couple of weeks ago while you are in Switzerland, you're in Zurich, representing your employer, the ESSC, or the Environment Science for Social Change, Inc.
Pope Francis write this Laudato Si, no? It's about care for our common home. And this care for our common home document, no, uh, he wants that what's in there will be translated into the local community, implemented into the local community. Because yeah, it's beautifully written, but the challenge now is how to implement this. How can we really care our no, our environment? How can we really care the people? How can we bridge the relationship of the people and the environment? Because people and the environment, or I mean the environment is not just something out there.
Thank you very much, Arnel, for sharing your past experiences, your challenges, your obstacles, and how you overcame all those. And you're sharing also with us how do you see yourself in the future. Now, I'm asking you to share with us and the viewers and give us some inspirational thoughts or messages for us.
Simply, first, um, you have to. It is important for us, no, as a human being, that we have a desire to do good for the others. No? It is important also to understand this sense of belongingness, where you came from. No? And it is important also to really no, don't think so much like complicated things, what's happening in the world now, but just no, look at from a distance, and then yeah, ask yourself, what how can I contribute? What can I do? How can I inspire people? How can I do good for the others? Or we say, let's, how can we do something that generates common good? No? So, and as you said, as I remember this in your interview, you said respect. Respect is very important. And this respect is not only about like respect to with other people, but also respect to our to the environment, to our nature. Respect the water that we drink. Respect the trees that are there. No? Respect the indigenous people. Respect the your parents.
Thank you very much for sharing that thoughts with us, Arnel, and sharing your very inspirational life. You came with nothing and now you are thriving and you're helping and you're sharing whatever you have right now. This is Janet Jordy at Global Inspiration, where you need to be seen, need to be heard, and be an inspiration to the world.